Okay, so, dear ladies and gentlemen, it is an enormous pleasure to welcome you all at the awarding of the 4th Oswald-Spengler-Prize. And of course, my first thanks go to our treasurer, Max Otte, who once again is hosting this event. So first, let us all thank him for his hospitality. As you have all seen, we are trying to be as diverse and unpredictable as Spengler himself. In 2018, we awarded our prize to the well-known author Michel Houellebecq. In 2020, to the cultural historian Walter Scheidel. In 2022, to the psychologist Jordan Peterson. And now to two ascending Twitter accounts, Thinking West and Culture Critic, who have done great things for spreading the love and lore of our Western civilization to a larger audience. As my dear colleagues Max Otte and Gert Morgenthaler will speak much more about the specific work of our awardees, it is my pleasure and privilege to introduce this ceremony with some more general remarks on the civilizational analysis of present-day social media communication and information technology from a Spenglerian point of view, of course. Many well-meaning conservatives and patriots ask themselves whether using social media channels like Twitter, Instagram or TikTok is really the right way to celebrate a civilization whose spiritual and probably also cultural decline coincides pretty well with the ascent of its technological progress. Is it not counterintuitive to advertise for tradition through the means of mass media whose impact on the deconstruction of what is left of these traditions is obvious? From an ultramontanist standpoint, it most certainly is. And the morally right answer to the problems of modernity would doubtlessly lie in imitating the lifestyle of, for example, the Amish people and let technology be altogether. But as Spenglerians, we know better, fortunately and unfortunately. On the one hand, we know about civilizational dynamics and understand that we are condemned to live as Westerners of our time, like it or not. Of course, we can try to LARP the time periods we would prefer to live in, and Spengler already prognosticated that would arrive sooner or later. But now this may perhaps assure you a better and more harmonious life, its authenticity would always remain somewhat fake, except, of course, for those with the courage to drop out of history altogether in order to retire, for example, into a monastery or an hermitage. For all the others, whose mission in life lies not in a radical interiority, but in the public life, technology is not only a curse, but also a fate. Even the first Christians, though rejecting their modernity and expecting an immediate apocalypse, used the Roman road network, postal service, and juridical system in order to spread their faith. Does that mean we are bound not only to accept as inevitable, but even to adhere to whatever new trend the West is following? That would be indeed, I think, a false understanding of Spengler's and Seneca's famous Fata ducunt volentem, nolentem trahunt. For if this would be true, we would not be here celebrating the great achievements of our past and accepting our own social marginalization, but rather howl with the wolves and endorse intersectionalism, gender ideology, or communism, which all are undoubtedly the newest state-of-the-art Western mainstream thinking. So obviously, stepping out of history, critically analyzing the present, analyzing its trends, and only taking over what seems just and true is not unhistorical, but necessary. And even more so, there are moral standards beyond the mere efficiency or the aestheticism of the will to power that are more important than all the rest. If we defend the West, it is not only because of our indistinct love for the West as it is now, but also because of a certain vision of the West, a certain choice we make. It is not the West of wokeism, false egalitarianism, self-hate and hypocrisy we strive to defend and to stand for, but the West that wanted to further its very specific view of God, truth, beauty, and goodness. And I hope you permit me to say on a side note that it is only the constant reminder of this situation which can help us to fight the two biggest threats that come with the use of social media for political or ideological purposes: success and the lack thereof. For in the sad times we live in, success generally only comes from conscious oversimplification, which, in my view, is only justified if we use it for the sake of a higher aim, whereas the lack of success can also only be justified if it is due to a higher aim. Better fail for a good cause than be successful in a wrong one. But our use of modern information technology is not only conditioned and limited by our current civilizational situation, as well as by our moral values. It is, or at least should be, influenced by our knowledge of the future. As Spenglerians, we know that the technological progress is only very partly a universal and linear process, though there is undoubtedly a certain arithmetic tendency towards the accumulation of wealth and knowledge. If no interior or exterior tendency disrupts history, the true disruptive factor is man himself. And even more important, it is the phenomenon of high civilization that transforms primitive accumulations of quantities into qualitative jumps. Thus, all high civilizations develop their own very specific approach of technology, always reaching a high point towards the end of their own modern phase. The Chinese warring states, Greco-Roman Hellenism, the Abbasid Caliphate, or the Western world during the 19th and 20th century, all these periods are characterized by parallel dynamics. But we also see that once the final stage of the imperial civilization state is achieved, under Augustus, the Han emperors, or the Fatimids, technological progress starts to stagnate and to devolve back into ever more primitive forms. This is exactly what we also should expect from Faustian technology during the 21st century. A certain peak, then stagnation, and finally slow but inexorable simplification, meaning that most of our current preoccupations with future technologies will probably be of only theoretical interest. And if you look back into the past, the technological jump that separates the early 19th from the early 20th century is much bigger than the one separating the latter from the 21st century. Furthermore, many technologies are already being deconstructed before our own very eyes, especially in Europe. Maglev trains like the Transrapid, ultrasonic passenger airplanes like the Concorde, transportation technology like hovercrafts, even combustion engines and nuclear energy, all these are abundant, or their use consciously refused before our very eyes. While anti-scientific absurdities such as gender studies, climate apocalypticism, or post-colonial self-deconstruction are massively pushed by the elites. It is only a matter of time before this anti-technical attitude also reaches the US, which is in so many ways the last Faustian nation. Perhaps we will reach Mars once, but that will be the end of Western space adventure. Perhaps we will start linking man and machine, but I doubt we will go further than a first and probably disastrous step. Perhaps artificial intelligence will become even more humanoid in the eyes of the naive bystander, but it will never think of itself. But then the West will be entirely consumed by its impending civil war, and what will rise from the dust will scarcely be able to go beyond stabilizing, canonizing, and reassuring. Is this a good thing? Personally, I tend to believe technology is civilizationally neutral. Creativity and stagnation, freedom and authoritarianism, transcendence and materialism, all of these can happen in a Stone Age environment such as the Maya civilization, as well in a high-tech environment such as the modern West. And all positive sides are balanced by negative sides, and of course vice versa. Also, though technology will doubtlessly slow down first in the West Then also in the remnants of former other civilizations such as China, Japan, India, and the Muslim world, whose present power is just derived from the involuntary reflection of the West's remaining energy, some little progress may still happen. On the one hand, even when no fundamentally new technologies are discovered, their applications may still be increased and refined, creating thus some marginal advances that should, however, not be mistaken for real paradigm shifts. On the other hand, the two major domains of interests to late civilization may still see some increased attention, not only by the elites but also by the masses, that is, surveillance technology and artificial paradises, the stick and carrot of each and every late civilizational empire. But that will probably be the price to be paid for Western Augustan age, and also the palliative for a population that is increasingly ceasing to be resilient, responsible, and combative, and which only seeks after its immediate material interests and the fulfillment of short-term resentments. As in all late civilizations, only a small elite will be able to feel, share, and transmit the love for the West and to fight for its defense, walking the fine line between idealism and political realism. Thank you, culture critic and Thinking West, for contributing to instill such a love in the minds of young people and to fight for the true West. Long live the West, plus ultra. And now I give the word to Gerd Morgenthau.